Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
He has dedicated his life to making people smile, and that's what he does. Works with their smile to get the best possible outcome, and all different ways of doing that as an orthodontist. Today, we're going to look at challenges with missing teeth, extra teeth, wisdom teeth, and more with Dr. Robert Shpuntoff. He's known as the Magic Touch Orthodontist, and he's back with us. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Good. How are you today?
I'm good. This is the first that we've done a Zoom where it looks like you're live and direct from maybe your waiting room?
Waiting room, correct.
Wonderful. Yeah, I love the fish tank, got to tell you.
We have some 20-year-old fish in there.
Oh my gosh. It's something about a fish tank that is just so peaceful. And just for me, it makes me feel like I'm on vacation again. So when it comes to, I guess it's congenital missing teeth, somebody can be born with missing teeth or extra teeth?
Well, actually, you're born with the genetics programmed not to develop those teeth, because when you're born, you normally have no teeth visible in the mouth. All you have are the cells and the bones that are ready to develop. And so you first go through the baby teeth or the primary teeth, and then all of a sudden, as the adult teeth are coming in, you're missing teeth. So hold on a second. There we go. So the most frequently missing teeth that the orthodontist will see are the upper laterals or the lower second bicuspids. The upper laterals become a very big cosmetic issue because all of a sudden you have the canines, which are much bigger teeth, moving into that space. And by the time you're an adult, it has a very distinct look, which is not what most people would like to see.
How often does that happen?
I can't give you numbers, but I mean, if you're outside a muffler repair shop, you'll say, hey, everybody driving by here has a broken muffler. So for us, it's a very common occurrence. We see it frequently. But it's a common issue with today's population.
And I would imagine it radically can change the look of your teeth, your mouth, because as things start to grow, as you get older, things are changing.
That's correct. So what'll happen is where the laterals are supposed to be, then your canines are going to move into position and block them out. Or sometimes you're only missing one. So now you have an asymmetrical appearance. So the objective of the orthodontist, as soon as you've identified this problem, is to do long-term planning so that you know, are you planning to do implants, which is the most common restorative procedure today? And then
I believe we have a tech issue. He froze up. I thought he would come back a second later. We're talking with Dr. Robert Shpuntoff. We're going to take a short break and get him back here. We'll be right back.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And we are back. Dr. Robert Shpuntoff, he is known as the Magic Touch Orthodontist. And we're talking about missing extra teeth and challenges like that from birth. Dr. Shpuntoff, when we talk about the upper laterals, we have the two canine, we have the teeth next to those, and then we have the two front teeth. Are the upper laterals the teeth next to the canines?
The upper laterals are the teeth between the canines and the two front teeth.
Gotcha. That's where I was going with that. Okay, understood. Wow. So the upper laterals, is it very common for those to have issues, challenges, missing or misplaced?
Most frequently. Very often, we'll have patients where the laterals are uneven in size, sometimes what we call peg-shaped. So one will be normal size, the other will be about a third the width of the first tooth. Or one tooth will be missing completely, the other will be a peg. Lots of variations.
Why is it the upper laterals? Why is it not the canines? Why isn't it not another tooth?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Wow. I wonder. I don't know why. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with theories, but I'll never, identify that.
I've often turned around to parents and said, have you tickled your children? And they look at me and I said, well, either you tickled them too much or you tickled them too little. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, right? Let's go to wisdom teeth. A lot of misconceptions about wisdom teeth. I guess let's go to the basics. What are wisdom teeth?
Better known as the third molars. So they are the last teeth to develop into the mouth. And usually around the teenage years, 14 to 18, depends on how young the child is, gotten rid of the baby teeth. And in modern society, we tend to keep most of its teeth. The primitive man used to fight with each other for food and knock each other's teeth out. So by the time the wisdom teeth came in, there was plenty of room in the mouth because there weren't that many teeth.
Okay. Wow. So that wasn't, I guess, way back, way back, was never a problem.
Right. So most people today don't have enough room in the mouth, and most frequently the teeth start to tilt and not come in correctly. So there's going to be food traps and infections occur.
How is it determined that the wisdom teeth need to come out? Is it just they're getting in the way of other teeth?
Well, usually I use a panoramic X-ray. Many offices will use a cone beam or a 3D X-ray, but you can see that the back portion of the tooth has nowhere to go because it's in a portion of bone. You can see the angulation, so it has nowhere to go. So these are factors that are there, and sometimes in order to uncrowd the mouth, we need to push bottom teeth back, and the wisdom teeth are there. So it's a better opportunity to take out the wisdom teeth than it is to take out side teeth, like bicuspids.
Gotcha. And you don't do extractions, but once the wisdom teeth are removed, you do the cleanup, so to speak, in terms of straightening the rest
I
of the
take
teeth out.
advantage of the new foundation.
Gotcha. And I guess the space. I was fortunate in my 20s, I would say probably mid to upper 20s. My wisdom teeth, two uppers, were already visible and down. I will say this, it's a memory I will never forget. I was awake during the removal of both, and I can still hear the sound in my head of them coming out. But there's conscious sedation now. I don't even know if they had that back then. I guess laughing gas, but
the
there's
mid-1900s, they had conscious sedation back then. But today the regulations are a little bit stricter because 40 years ago, it was not unusual that the surgeon taking out your teeth would be doing your sedation too. Nowadays, almost always there's a person sedating you and the person doing the procedure.
While we're on that topic, for any of the procedures that you do, is sedation required for any of that?
No. If we have to have a tooth exposed because it's impacted and it needs a surgical procedure, then yes, they can be sedated by the surgeon, but nothing that we're doing in the office requires that.
Gotcha. So let's talk about somebody having their wisdom teeth removed and what would happen next. Would be potentially not anything, it's all good, or there would be some changes being made. How would you make that determination, and typically what would you do?
Well, very often the wisdom teeth are being removed just because they're not coming in correctly, and there are potential infections. So when that's done, it's finished. If we need to reposition bottom teeth to the back of the mouth, then as soon as they've healed, with the wires, with rubber bands, and with springs, we get the teeth to move to the back of the mouth and uncrowd the front of the mouth. So very often someone who has an underbite, now that you've pushed those back molars into the position where the wisdom teeth were, even though they were healthy, now you can bring everything back and get the bottom front teeth underneath the top front teeth.
What about underbites? And I think they call them reverse bites. What are they?
Well, a normal bite is top front teeth over bottom front teeth. A reverse bite or an underbite is bottom front teeth in front of top front teeth.
What do you do if the bite is not correct? How do you make the changes for that?
Well, assuming that it's not a surgically necessary case, then we use a lot of what's called anchorage and get the upper teeth to come forward, and we create bite openers so that the teeth don't clash as the bottom teeth come back behind the top front teeth.
Is to me, not the non-expert, that sounds like a challenging situation because you're not just dealing with teeth, but also the jaw, is it?
Yes, and then we're also dealing with the cooperation of the patient to either wear a device when they eat to keep them from clashing on the teeth, or to wear their rubber bands so the teeth move.
So I've seen rubber bands before. What are they actually doing?
They're applying forces. So you have a lot of triangulation or biomechanics, as the terminology is. So if you lean against the lamppost and the lamppost is ready to fall, the lamppost is going to just kind of lean and fall down. So where we put the pressure on the teeth and how we guide them determines how effectively they move. And rubber bands are attached to anchor points that are going to allow us to triangulate these forces and get the teeth to move like the cars on a railroad track, which is why they used to call these things railroad tracks. It's going to direct how the teeth move.
I've heard of something called interceptive orthodontics. What exactly is that?
That's when the child has baby teeth and you see a reverse bite, or the child has crowding with baby teeth, and all of the procedures that you do are to minimize the problem in anticipation of either fully correcting it or creating a situation so that when the child has braces, you get a better result, a more stable result, and possibly avoid taking out adult teeth.
So I never thought of it that way. So you would do orthodontics on baby teeth?
On occasion, we attach brackets to baby teeth. Very often we have removable appliances, but a 7-year-old has 4 top front teeth and 4 bottom front teeth and 4 first molars. That's enough adult teeth to be able to apply orthodontic forces and start the corrections.
Okay. So you're making a correction to the adult teeth using the baby teeth that are nearby.
Yes.
How often, if a child has baby teeth that are misaligned or there's challenges with those, how often do they have challenges with their adult teeth? Is it usually a given if that's the case?
One rule that a pediatric dentist I knew used to say is when a child with baby teeth looks like they have perfect teeth, Hollywood perfect, you're going to have a lot of crowding and you don't have enough room because all of the adult teeth are bigger. And that's quite true. So if a child with baby teeth, those are crowded, that's even going to be worse.
Wow. And I could see that too. Like, oh, little Jimmy's smile is so perfect. But yeah, it's perfect. And that's a setup for not perfect and needing some challenges. Wow. How old now? You said a 7-year-old. You could put braces or some type of appliance on, is it typically 7 being the starting age?
Well, the American Association of Orthodontists recommends that anytime you have a concern on a growing child, they be seen by an orthodontist by the age of 7. And that's because most of the time there are enough teeth in the mouth that you can be treating the child. Now, a child who's born with a cleft palate or a cleft lip, very often they're being treated by a team of surgeons and specially trained orthodontists as early as you can get them into the office, very, very young. They don't even have teeth sometimes.
Wow. So even for well, I guess adult or children, after braces are placed, how often do you need to see your orthodontist?
It depends on the type of brackets you have. This office uses self-ligating brackets, which have less friction, so we can see you at 6-week intervals. Sometimes we're waiting for adult teeth to come into the mouth or baby teeth to fall out. It can be 8 weeks. Invisible aligners can be 8 to 12 weeks. It varies with what stage of correction your teeth are in and how quickly the teeth are moving.
When you work with an adult, is there a certain cutoff age, or it could be somebody could be in their upper 50s and say, you know what, I've always wanted to, I'm going to do it now. Does it really matter?
I have somebody in his 90s coming in tomorrow. He had Invisalign 20 years ago and he wanted to redo it. Nice, healthy, bright gentleman. And I have some adults in their 80s coming in. So I don't think there's an age limit as long as the bone and the gums are healthy.
Wow. That's fantastic. How do you determine the health of the gum and the bones? Obviously, you look at the gums and you could tell pretty much what's going on there, but the bone density and all of that, how do you actually know?
So we take x-rays and generally they should be seeing a regular dentist. So between the two of us, we know if they need gum treatment, if they've been referred to a specialist, if they're under periodontal treatment, we get the permission of a periodontist to treat the patient because they feel that the foundation is solid. If it's not enough bone, then we can't move the teeth.
Now, you talked before about an overbite or underbite, an appliance being used when somebody's eating. How about tips on eating when you do have braces or other appliances like that that are a little bit more permanent?
Well, when you have braces, you don't want to eat anything that's very, very hard, like pizza crust, candies, sticky stuff, because those things will break the brackets off of the teeth. Now, brackets are bonded to the teeth with an adhesive, let's call it, that's strong enough to hold it under normal circumstances. But if you break the rules, it's not going to hold it so hard that you're going to chip a tooth.
Never thought of that. If you put enough pressure on it. So here's a tech question. How do you remove the adhesive? Is it a solution that you put on there that breaks it apart?
No, the joke is we have a universal solution, but we haven't found a bottle that'll hold it.
So how do we do it?
I use some very fine diamonds that are smoother than most emery boards, and we combine it with use of a dental drill. And then we use polishers and other polishing pastes.
So let me make sure I have that right because I find that fascinating. So you're using a drill, if you will, or something similar to, I guess, get underneath where it adheres to the tooth.
Well, no, the bracket comes off if you know how to put pressure on it, and it removes cleanly because remember, I told you that the adhesive is not strong enough to cause you to chip the teeth. And then the polisher, the dental drill, is used to take off the remaining adhesive.
Gotcha. Okay, understood. Wow, I didn't know that you could take them off that, if you will, easily. I thought it was more of a process, but now stands to reason you don't want it to be that tight because you're just asking for challenges. If you bite into something and oh, gosh forbid you damage your tooth.
But for me to take it off, it's easy. If I gave you the tools and you had to take it off, it'll be a lot more of an effort. You don't know your limits.
It's like if you were a safe cracker, you throw me the tools, I'm not getting into the safe. It's not going to happen. Wow. Interesting. All these, these are questions I think a lot of people wonder about, especially when it comes to wisdom teeth. For somebody, now you practice in the greater New York area, Little Neck, Queens. Best way to reach you. How do we do that, Dr. Shpuntoff?
The office phone number is 718-229-5924. We have a 24-hour-a-day answering service. And the website, www.magictouchorthodontist.com, has the ability for you to communicate with us and request appointments.
Final question. What age should your child see an orthodontist, and how would you know that they should?
Well, first of all, the famous line is, if it doesn't look right, say something, So if something doesn't look right to you, you see the orthodontist. As I mentioned earlier, age 7 is a recommended time. But as baby teeth fall out, is that adult tooth missing, especially the lateral? Is it twisted? We don't know. That's a good reason to come in and see the orthodontist. Very often your dentist will be able to encourage you for the right time. And if your child sees a orthodontist who specializes in children, they'll almost always tell you the right time to see the orthodontist.
Wow. Appreciate all the information. Always great talking with you, Dr. Shpuntoff, and looking forward next time we get together.
Same here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.